All right. Hello, everybody. Good to see you all. I see that still getting over the tail end of the cold, so we'll see how tonight goes. Probably not super long. Hey, Jeff, good to see you. I see that, like I said, Luke is in the house. Sean is here. Kurt is here. And ZTP is here. Paul is here. Jeff is, I think I saw Jeff. Let's see. I think that's, hope that's everybody. Hope I didn't miss anybody. Anyway, Kurt had a question right out of the bat. It's not on my script. Half God, good to see you. And opinion on that. Hey, Danny. Let's see. Opinion on MiniFreak is it's a good little synth. A lot of fun stuff in there, and we can play with that maybe if there's time. We can play with the software version of that maybe a little bit tonight. I do have it on the machine. I'll tell you what, that cold I had last week was one heck of a humdinger. Yeah, still trying to get over it. I am all globbed up in here. So anyway, let's let's roll before I keel over. So, looking at my script, it's a big one, and lots of stuff to talk about. Let me get graphics under control here. Let's see. I've already chopped a couple, or haven't I? No, I haven't chopped anything. I think I chopped the wrong thing out of the script. I don't know. Anyway, so a couple things to get around. I've been fooling around with some new graphics. That's a different thing, and I'll tell you, that's the cool hand of retirement is, well, I'm still not quite there yet. Yeah, Luke, I do. I can show you if I can drive all the right machines. So for those who don't know, I have switched to Mac, and that has allowed me to actually organize a lot of things a lot better. I can move things very quickly now between the iPads and the computer, and I could, if I could, clicked around quick enough, I could actually pull the script up on screen for you, and you could see it. But not that important. I do have a, I guess script isn't the word, Luke. It's more like a big old outline of the show and what I want to try and get to. So anyway, along with the Mac, I've been fooling around with doing the graphics differently. I'm not sure I'm going to stick with it or not. You probably won't even notice, I hope, although the title slate fonts are a little different and the layout's a little different. But I'm trying to do as much as I can in the included apps that come with the Mac, just to see what I can do. I do have pretty much every PC app on the Mac now, but I just wanted to see what it was like. So anyway, fooling around with that. Video change in routing. I did have, not really, I've got a Thunderbolt dock, and so basically everything just kind of shows up almost the same way as it did. I can pull up the DAW, which is coming off the Mac. I could pull up, the computer that's over my shoulder, which has got basically stream monitoring up and that kind of thing. And so everything excuse me, for a lot of it just kind of fell into place. Just plugged in and went. I had a little weirdness tonight with the screen mirroring, and I'm not sure what's up with that. I had a few little weird techie things go odd at the last minute. So anyway, we'll get to it. I'll get it fixed. It's no big deal. So it's a work in progress, like it always is here. But I'm enjoying it, and that's fun. I got a little rumor stuff to deal with real quick, and that is for those of us who are in the Native Instruments camp and were disappointed last year, I guess it was, or year before, whenever it was, that they said that there was not going to be another version of Absynth. I am happy to report that it is coming back. There will be an Absynth 6. I know it's a lot of people saying it's just rumored. I have it on good authority that it is coming. And I don't have a lot of details yet, but it is coming. I missed the announcement on the Native Instruments Discord. And one of the things that I do know is that if you have presets from Absynth 5, they will work in Absynth 6. So I'm pretty excited about that, or at least pretty happy about it. Absynth was the first VST that I bought, and that came after beta testing it for a while when it was new, when it first went from Rhizomatic to Native Instruments. So I've had it in some version or another that long. So I'm really excited to know that it's coming back. Some things I had some thoughts about how they could do Absynth 6th, or a way they could do it, and fit it into their current architecture scheme. Although I don't know yet what they've done, and you know, the folks that have given me the little bit that they have are beyond that. What they've told me pretty much kind of sworn to secrecy. So anyway, still excited. I think with all the features and functionality that Native Instruments have added to Contact, they could actually rebirth it, so to speak, as a Contact instrument if they wanted to. And maybe that's what they're doing. Not sure. Hey, Mixmaster, good to see you. Don't know. Anyway, there's supposed to be another thing on the Discord tomorrow. Hopefully I'll be able to catch it and see what's going on for sure. Also, as some of you may know, I've just decided pretty much that all the hardware synths, except for the modular, are going away. And that's had me looking for a replacement for one function that I'm surely going to miss, and that's the Morphe pad on the Polybrute. And I'm really not finding anything that quite matches it, so I may actually have to figure out how to build it myself. We'll see how that goes. One thing that was of interest, or possible interest, was Expressive-e a long time ago came out with this thing, their Touche, and I was under the assumption incorrectly that the Morphe from on the Polybrute was kind of a copy of it. Oh, good to know, Jeff. I'll ask you lots of questions. I'm interested in it for a couple of reasons, although it's a completely different kind of control from the Morphe on the Polybrute. And one of the reasons that I'm specifically interested in it is not only does it have a USB output, but it also has TRS MIDI. But then there are the upper model also has 4 CV outs, and that's why I'm very specifically interested in it. There's the SE, which is just USB, and this stands for Software Edition, I think is what SE means. And I'm more interested in the one that's also got the CV outputs. I do have reservations, and those include the fact that it doesn't necessarily talk directly the way you would expect it would via MIDI, and that's or via USB MIDI anyway. And so that's kind of given me a little pause about it. I'm not sure. I'm not sure I want another go-between app between a device and hardware. And so anyway, I'm still waffling on that, but it's pretty high up on the list of things. Jeff, I'll be talking with you about your experience with at least the USB version. If it's pretty seamless, you know. Well, no, I want the CV because I want it to be able to. I would want it to be able to talk to the modular, and yeah. So anyway, that's like the one thing I'm gassing over from a hardware standpoint. So anyway, like I said, I'll talk with you. Thanks, Mixmaster. So this shirt is a Moog. I think it's what they used to call a Model 15 or C1 or something like that, depending on what week or what year it was. And I love this. One of the things I love about this shirt is that I could actually play this shirt if it were hardware. And my first experience with synthesizers in hand, actually hands-on, was well, it's not patched at the moment, Mixmaster. My first hands-on experience with a synthesizer was a Moog Model 35, which is basically 2 more racks wide than every other module under the sun they had at the time. If you plug real cables into this thing, I'm going to make some noise. Into this shirt, I'm going to make some noise, I'll tell you that. So, anyway, so that's the shirt. So anyway, let's see, there was a ZTP. Well, so that's the other thing. It's like, I played the Osmos, or played on an Osmos 3 years ago, I guess it was 2-3 years ago, somewhere in there. And I'll tell you what, I just loved that thing. But I don't know that I'm going to be able to. I don't know that I'm going to be able to buy one. I don't know. I can afford the Touche, but I don't know that I'm going to have the budget for an Osmos. We'll see after I get things sold. We'll see how that goes. So I have not had time to list any of the stuff for sale yet. It's just been. This has been a hectic few weeks, and I hopefully get unhecticer. That's not really a word, but I make up words. So the Mixmaster, I know it's not a real ARP 2600, but I've got the Behringer Blue Marvin over here, and I'll tell you what, that thing is so much fun. It's so much fun to patch again. So we're not hearing any of that tonight, but anyway. So I want to run through obviously I'm doing things a little bit out of order tonight. I haven't gotten into what's in the jam. We'll get to that. But I want to run through the script stuff real quick. Then we can get into the Blue Barp. We can get into the what's in the jam, and then have some fun with some some synths. So let me scroll up here a little bit. I want to talk briefly about the internet YouTube darlings from the last couple of weeks, and just some thoughts that I have on them. Interesting to hear your thoughts too, or read your thoughts too. First up is this thing. The new Arturia Astrolab 37, or Astrolab Lite, whatever you want to call it. I mean, we all sort of know what it is, I guess. It's analog lab in hardware. Well, but see, they took off the cool knob, It's just a little screen. The thing's a little box. It's like, yeah, cool. If they were going to do this, I would rather them have built a desktop unit or a rack mount unit, honestly. But here's the thing. So I've been following this thing along. It's kind of a neat idea, just like Astrolab was, or is. But it's still subject to the Analog Lab gotcha, where you buy Analog Lab Pro and you still don't have full access to the synths involved. You still have to buy either the full V collection or the individual synth if you want full editing capabilities of one of the synths in there. So excuse me. But they did some nice things with it. I mean, it's got, they got a mic line, mono input for vocoder effects. They've got USB-A port so that you can run another keyboard, so you can have 2 keyboards with the thing. The problem, though, is that from what I've seen from some stuff online, it's very underpowered, and you know, there were a guy demonstrated on the Perfect Workflow channel. Fellow demonstrated some, you know, basically note stealing. It ran out of polyphony on certain patches, and you know, that's just, you know, I don't know if it's any better or worse than or any worse than the larger units, the 61 key or the 88 key. But you know, I don't think, Paul, I don't think I would use it for pigments and hardware, because of the voice stealing that this guy saw. I mean, a pigments patch can get really thick really fast, and if you're running out of processor, memory, whatever was going on, you're going to be disappointed. So I think that it's, you know, when I first started looking at it, I thought, well, that's pretty cool. You know, well, so it's so this thing, this thing is actually, this is a hardware device. I'm pointing at the screen again. You know, so it's, yeah, harder pass, exactly. You know, I'm just going to run a computer, honestly. Yeah, it's like, you know, so this is a hardware device. It uses the same key bed as the key, the what is that thing? The key step 37. So it's, as many keys go, it's actually pretty nice. It's got aftertouch, you know. It's not as nice as the key bed on the Hydrosynth Explorer, but it's not bad. I like playing on it when I'm using it with the modular system. But you know, yeah, I've got a laptop. I can run Analog Lab to my heart's, or Pigments to my heart's content on the thing. It doesn't, you know, doesn't gripe. So I think it's $700 or something like that. $800 if you buy it direct from Arturia. And I, you know, for that money, you know, I had a whole section here on things that I would buy in its place, and I lost them out of my notes. But there's, you know, there are, for that money, there are a whole load of other. Oh, I know where I have that, and this falls into the next section. So we'll cover things that you can get for the same money in the next section, because this is similarly priced to the next wonderful gizmo. I'm checking chat just to make sure. Yeah, it's fun for that, but you know, in speaking to that, Jeff, taking it to a jam or whatever, it would be nice to have a one-piece thing to take to a jam. But I can accomplish the same thing with the laptop and the Keystep 37 or any number of other controllers that I have around here. That's a little less convenient, but you know, I did it. Well, last month when I did it, I played Omnisphere. The month before that, I was playing out of Analog Lab. So you know, it's taking a laptop and a controller to a jam is not really a big deal. Maybe a little tight on space, but you know. But that's what I'm going to do again this Sunday, Paul. So be prepared. I'll be the laptop and some soft synth. Anyway, so the next darling of the internet has been this, the Waldorf protein, and oh, okay, cool. So let's flip this bad boy up so I can read the next page. And so Waldorf essentially put out a micro Q with knobs on it. I too would like to see this in a full-size keyboard. And so here's the thing. So here's the thing, and let's talk about what this thing's got. So it's not fancy, it's not spectacular, but it sounds awesome. I mean, it sounds beautiful. Based on what I've heard, I think it's very well priced. Here's where it starts to run into some possible caveats, I guess, and Luke and I discussed this online a couple weeks ago, week and a half ago or so. It's got 8 voices total, and 8 voices, 4 layers. So if you start layering stuff up, you're going to run into voice stealing really fast, unless you're really intentional in your allocations and the way you design your multis. So I mean, so because you can say that yeah, so you can define though how if a layer to be mono, legato, or poly. And if you assign, and you can control how the voice stealing might work. So you can say, layer A is a monosynth, layer B is a monosynth. That leaves you, that would leave you 6 voices for layer C and D, if you wanted to do that. But you have to think about it. So I mean, it really gets down to how you would intend to use it, whether that's a problem. If you want to do splits, it's not necessarily as much of a problem, because, like I said, you can set up a pad in the left hand that uses 4 voices, and then you can set up a lead in the top half that uses the other 4 voices, or something along those lines. But I would agree, Danny. Exactly. Those, and they're less expensive. What I don't know about those, and maybe Luke, if Luke can answer a little bit more to this, I don't know what the sound design is like on the Sonicware stuff. I know Luke has an ambient 0, and I don't know how much time he spent trying to do with any sound design with it. So Luke, chime in if you're able. And Jeff, exactly. If you don't, the way you use the Micromonster, 8 would probably rarely be a problem for you, 8 voices. So if you used something like the Protein in the same way, you probably have the same experience. But I really, really like the sound of this thing, and we'll get to we'll get there. Before we get there, let me talk real quick about similarly priced items today. Gotcha. Okay, Luke. So similarly priced alternatives today, and this is through. Luke, are you saying ambient 0 is worth the money, or do you think Protein? Similarly priced products during this, next couple 3-4 weeks include the modal Cobalt and Argon 8s, both the keyboard and module versions. That ends the end of the month. The Dreadbox Typhon, which is a monosynth, but it's still in that price range. If you add a couple of $100, then you can start looking at things like the MicroFreak, the Korg Micro Korg and Micro Korg 2, Minilog XD, Hydrasynth Explorer, Pikorgs, because a bunch of those are on sale, the Roland Gaia. So it's one of those kind of things that I agree, Luke. I agree. Protein is $4.99, Paul. And when it's, I don't think it's in stock very many places. It's $4.99 in the U.S. If you order it from Thomann, they've got it for $3.19 U.S. But there's shipping, tariffs, charges, all that stuff involved in getting it here. So by the time you're done, you may end up being exactly the same price as just ordering it from a dealer in the States. And like I said, they're not in stock yet. I can't remember when they're expected. It's either a few weeks or a few months. Could be as late as May. I think I might have seen somewhere. So it really depends on where the people are in the order schedule. I understand that they are in stock, or last I looked, they were in stock at Thomann. The Waldorf store direct is out of stock as of this afternoon. So anyway, I think it's a great sounding beast. Just wait till that. Well, and that's probably going to happen pretty quickly. Honestly, I think people are going to get them and discover that they can't do. They're thinking that it's maybe a simplified. What's that other Waldorf thing? Anyway, they think. Well, and that's the thing. If they come out with this as an so actually, yeah, I don't know what they're doing with. I can't remember what they're doing in iOS because I've really kind of moved away from iOS music apps. Honestly, I'm using iPads for other things now. But what I wanted to mention is that I was watching. I think it was Martin Sturzer, who got in and started digging around a lot, and so some people started to think of it as a simplified Iridium, but it's really not. Martin got in and started digging around. And okay, so Blofeld is what I was thinking. It's a simplified Blofeld, but it's really not even that. Here's what it is, and Martin dug in and really started looking at this, and what it's not. No, it's not a simplified M. Here's what it is. It is a hardware version of this, which Paul has on his iPad. So, and this is in the jam tonight. So I tested this I tested this when it first came out, and it was dreadful on my PC. Absolutely dreadful. It took up a huge amount of resource, and it just didn't fly right. I got something kicking up resource tonight that I'm not sure what is. Like I said, I've coming in and chat. I'm having some little weird technical goofiness tonight. I don't know what it is. I'm seeing some things that I don't usually see, and so I'm not sure what's going on. But anyway, this thing runs great on the Mac, as does their PPG Wave 3V software, which just crashed horribly on PC. So anyway, this thing is essentially is very much the same. It's also limited to 8 voices, because, you know, so is the micro Q, which is what this thing came from, and what this is a software version of. So essentially, I'm thinking that this guy is a micro Q with knobs on it, and not as many layers, because a micro Q could do 8 layers and 8 voices. I'm not sure how that's, well, works kind of like my old Korg DS8 did, not very well as far as setting up multis. So pretty much everything that's here is here. And so it's the only thing that the software doesn't have that the hardware does have is effects. The software does not have any effects built in, at least not on PC. So I can live with that, because, you know, there's lots of neat new effects out there, which I don't have graphics for, but we're going to talk about during the next segment. So anyway, my money is probably on a copy of this. I just have a couple of things I haven't quite figured out yet with it, but I've been playing with it the last couple of days, and it sounds, now that I can actually run it well, it actually sounds quite good. And yeah, so let's see what else we got. Other new things, and there's links for these guys below. Eventide came out with Temperance, the Temperance reverb, which is kind of neat. I'll show you that in a few minutes. There's a light version, which is free through the end of the month. There's a pro version that's $179. If you have other of their software, I don't know if the light version is the only thing. Light version applies or not, but I've got some other Eventide software. If you have other of their software registered, there's a discount on the pro version of Temperance. Valhalla has Future Verb out, which is a Valhalla reverb echo combo thing with controls. Sounds like Supermassive, but the controls are different. So let's go ahead and flip over to the DAW and play with some stuff, because, you know, that's the fun bit. So let's see, where should we begin? You know, I miss reading tape op. I haven't gotten an issue of tape op in a long time. I should check that out. The Temperance is pretty cool, and I've got that on. Do I have that on a track here? I don't know if I have that on a track here or not. You grab mouse. Actually, is the trackpad fired up? I'll try to fire up the trackpad instead. There we go. Let's see. So what do I have where here? In the jam tonight, we'll hit that real quick. We have this track, which is, oops, the Microwave, which I'm running in demo mode because I haven't decided to buy it yet. And this is running one of my own, no, this is a factory patch. I have done a couple of my own. But this one fit for what I needed tonight. It's playing this thing that you're hearing. Yeah, this is stock, and I've got that running into Supermassive. And Supermassive, there was an update to Supermassive in the last couple of weeks. They have a new mode called Serious. And I'm using basically the default patch. The only thing I've done is reduced the mix. The default mix level is 50%, and I changed the delay time from 300 milliseconds to dotted eighths. So that's really all that I've done there. So the only thing that I found different, Paul, in the new Supermassive is, like I said, they've added this new mode called Sirius, and that's about the only. And they might have some other new presets in there. Hey Andy, good to see you. So there are some in this guy. Let's have to remember where I was on Wave Ride. Okay. There are some weird things in the there are some weird things in here, but the way it does certain things, but. One thing I've noticed about this, it ends up wanting to be about an octave lower than I'm expecting things to be. But anyway, these are the same kinds of sounds you can make with protein. You know, whatever you can do with this, you can do with protein, and vice versa. You know, subject to the 8, again, the 8 voice limit. I didn't get on with SynthMaster for whatever reason. Nothing wrong with it. It sounds great. But I just didn't get on with it well when I demoed it some time ago. It didn't fit me. And like I said, it's a great synth. A lot of people really like it. Sounds wonderful. You know, there are so many really good synths on the market these days, and it's hard to go wrong, and it's hard to, it gets down to workflow, and the problem, of course, is that you can you can buy a zillion of them, and then this is a problem that I've run into personally, that you buy a zillion of them and then you don't know where to go. So I'm kind of developing a workflow that uses certain kinds of synths for what their strengths are. So in my world at the moment anyway, I'm thinking that Omnisphere is going to build the basis of most of my stuff, because it's so versatile and does so many different things well. And then I can use the Dawesome synths, or the Waldorf synths, or Pigments, or anything in Astrolab for the special things that they do, or anything in the V collections for the special things that they do, to be those highlighted parts. Interesting, Danny, to see what's in the pipeline elsewhere. I would check out their reverb store and see what they've got going on there. They a lot of times run a lot of things through their reverb store that aren't in stock in their web shop, but ends up being in their reverb. If you're looking for anything in particular, I don't know that the SEs of the Pi Korgs did as well as they'd hoped that they would. what I'd really like for them to do, but they won't be able to do it on a Pi platform, I don't think, is and a couple of folks I've talked about this, is be a a workstation Pi Korg, but it would have to be on a different hardware platform in order for it to work. Because even the as well as they run on individually on a Pi, I've noticed like the multi-poly in particular wants a lot of horsepower, and I haven't really looked at what the CPU usage is on the Pi hardware version, but it's got to be high. It's got to be pushing the limits. If you look at, do I have it? I don't. I do have it in tonight's jam. Let's move this out of the way for a second. I've got. I do have multi-poly in tonight's jam, and even just it's not even playing at the moment. Actually, no, it is. It's just potted down. This, if you look. Well, so have I had I have an issue sometimes on the multi-poly in software. If you look at this, I've got 2 tracks of Omnisphere. Now, right now, the Omnisphere tracks are just kind of idling, but they don't use a lot of processor. Something just peaked my CPU. I'm not sure what. And like I said, I'm having some weirdness tonight, so I don't know what's going on there. But if you look here, as far as what's going on, this is the system utilization, kind of like it's like a percentage of kind of thing. So if we're using 21%, this is using, just a little bit, this is using more. And this is the multi-poly. And it's not a particularly, I do have a physical multi-poly as well, currently, you say for the time being. I have physically, I have a multi-poly, I have wave state, I have op6, and I have mod wave. This particular patch is not. The deal is that Mixmaster. I'm going away from hardware, except for the modular. It's just, I am much happier in the box, all the way around. As far as it goes, this is probably the heaviest. This is the heaviest use CPU use of all of the plugins. I am not going VCV. That's not how. That's not happening, Paul. Sorry. And no, I'm not giving the... Yes, the box being the DAW plugins. It just suits the way I work better. And I like that, the entirety, if I want, the entirety of my world is perfectly happy. Perfectly happy on the MacBook. It was not happy on my old laptop. It just wasn't. But it's perfectly happy on here. It was perfectly happy on the Ryzen 9 desktop machine. That's also going away. Because I've found that I can do everything I want on here as long as I'm not I was screwing around with some stuff, so I've got something I messed up that I'll have to go back to. And no, I'm not getting that module. No, I'm not getting that. I want my Eurorack to be a more traditional modular setup. So anyway, back to this thing. This is not a hugely complex patch. I do have three layers going, but this one is not doing much. It's just doing the, it's a sawtooth. There's some modulation going on, I guess. Layer B is a wavetable. There's a couple oscillators there. One's a wavetable, so it's not, having, it's not having to synthesize the sound. Layer C is a couple of wavetables, or a couple of waves. So I mean, it is, these are being done virtual analog. That's virtual analog. That's a wavetable. And that's the virtual analog. So I've got, a half a dozen or so or more voices of the of virtual analog going on here. So, but I can do this much work with other synths and not have it choke. So the point is, this is a CPU heavy piece of code, no matter what it's on. Happy to see the detune cell 2 display elsewhere. Oh yeah, no, I see the scope views that people have on where they're doing their synth reviews of stuff, and wave shapes don't look like I think wave shapes ought to look, to be honest with you. I see things that they're supposed to be saws and they look almost square, and squares that look almost saw-like, and it's like, sine waves that look nothing like sine waves. So I don't know. So that detuned saw, I don't know. Hey, no worries, Luke. I know how you feel. It's I've not had a lot of energy myself. So anyway, thanks for stopping by. And if you're going to crawl off to bed, I don't blame you. I will probably do the same. Not too long, half hour or so probably. So I don't know. Let's see. I got the second saw thing turned up 100% too. That does some weird. That's what really unshapes it, Danny. Is if you so if you just have the saw, it's fine. It's when you add that second. That's what they call the second saw. It really really whacks out the shape badly. I'm not sure what's up with that, but. Because now it looks like a pulse. It's, So, anyway, and I don't know how much difference it makes to the sound. Let's listen. Yeah, you can hear a difference. It's subtle because there's so much other stuff in there, but I can hear that. I can hear those harmonics shifting slightly. It's like, I need another LFO to put on that, and I'm out of LFO. Well, I could use the PWM LFO I could put on that, I guess, but it's going too fast. So I don't know if I'm using that anywhere else. Anyway, actually, this is a factory patch. Maybe I chuckled when I saw the name of this patch, by the way. It's one of those wonderful airport series movies. So anyway, not sure where I was. Oh, we were going through what was in the jam. So that's in the jam. I have a couple of omnispheres. We're doing the leads. We'll go to those. So what do I have here? This is, I kind of modified up the patch. I didn't do a lot to it. Didn't really have to because it was pretty nice, but I did add some more effects. Because Omnisphere is so light on the system usage that it can load stuff up in here and it doesn't bog the system down very much. So anyway, modified version of Pioneering the Future. I think I might have made a couple other changes here and there. And then on the next channel, the next one, this patch called Sub 37 Authentic Lead, and the only thing I really did here, again, made some effects changes. Might have added I think I added the delay. Well, you know, so I could, well, I don't know what's going on. It's put me over the top on CPU tonight. I don't know, it's been weird. Been a weird day. So, anyway, back over to this guy. I mean, I got an LFO sitting out here. I don't even know what it's doing at the moment. Oh, it's writing gain. I could grab an LFO and stick it out here. Let's see, then I come to here and do this. And, oh geez, I gotta do it through, I've got this running in complete control. Let's see something here. What can I do to make this work easily? Oh, maybe can I just map this out anyway? What was I even going to do? Oh, I wanted to modulate this. If this were running standalone, outside of complete control, it would be pretty easy to go ahead and map this to that LFO. One of the drawbacks of wanting to be able to do this guy, and man, my focus is way off. What is up with that? Oh, I gotta set this to the right camera. To cam. Alright, now I should be able to drive the focus a little better. One of the you know, I like to be able to have this in focus. Yay tech. So, you know, it looks awful. I guess it's probably because this is so bright compared to everything else. So, you know, I've got these plugins that let me run in complete control, actually have, you know, controls over, oh, that's the other things. Let me have control of the synth, and I can get into all the, you know, stuff. Pretty much every control that's mappable is mapped out here to the knobs on the control surface. And in this latest version of the firmware for this thing, they've actually let me I can control the LFO, you know, the LFO stuff. If it's down in the Too big. If it's down here, basically I've got control over it. So if I come to this guy, you can see as I, well, you can't really see quite what I'm doing. Can I do it on cam 2? Yeah. So you can see as I'm hitting the buttons here to select what module is in use, it updates the display and also grabs it in Ableton Live now. So I could go in here if this were actually doing anything. You know, I could get in here and change the shape, change the rate, and if I had that mapped, I would now be controlling that. You know, if I could have that mapped easily enough, I'd have that thing controlling that, controlling the second, the level of the second saw here. Or anything else that I wanted to. That is one thing I don't like about the about some of the Picorg's blasphemy there, is that they don't have, you know, if I wanted to do that, say in Vital, that same kind of thing in Vital, I just, you know, conjure up another LFO and stick it on there. There's a lot more, you know, there's a lot of stuff going on. Good night, Andy. Thanks for stopping by. So anyway, geez, we're like 20, you know, we're an hour and 7 minutes into this, and I haven't even gotten to what I wanted to get to. So let's jump on, and I'm actually going to deviate from the script again as usual, because, you know, because Kurt was interested in knowing some stuff about the MiniFreak. So let's play with the software version of the MiniFreak. Let me dump in another track here real quick. And let's see. I'm going to do this through complete control because it lets me get to the, you know, to the controls on screen for this guy. So I will grab complete control, that there, open this up. I'm going to go for Arturia synths and find MiniFreak, and hold your ears here for a second because this thing is going to blast noise. Actually, before I go any further, let's make it so it doesn't do that. Let's get this sent where it's supposed to be sent. And I'm going to turn the volume down. Grab, just pick a patch, any patch. Okay, there we go. There's MiniFreak on the screen. Get that out of the way. Okay, go to here. So I'm assuming Kurt is still here. I don't know. This is a little different as far as the way it's laid out on the screen as compared to the MiniFreak itself. But basically, you've got instead of having the two oscillators with one set of knobs, you've got two. On the MiniFreak itself, there would be a button to select between the two oscillators, and basically four knobs that vary depending on what the function of the functions available in the oscillator you've chosen are. So let's do this. Let me. Is there a init patch here that I can do? Oh, gotta do it here. Do this. I know the hardware's got an init patch, but I don't know if there's one in this or not. I don't see one there. Can I do it here? No, new preset. Okay. So out of the box, you get one oscillator doing anything. This one's turned down. So you've got a whole bunch of different types of oscillators that you can choose for each oscillator. You know, so right now we're just looking at the basic waveforms. And this one just does square to saw. There's a lot you can do with that. Let me get these other things out of the way. Make let's see. Get these guys quiet. There we go. And do I really have that much of an envelope on the... Or is it giving me technical weirdness? Anyway, so I mean, you can do all kinds of wave shaping here. Change symmetry, you can bring in the sub-oscillator. Let's see. Where are my... I haven't played with this in a while. Let's go to advanced mode. Here we go. Yeah, I do have a heck of a envelope on that puppy. And there's a zillion different kinds of waveforms. You get all the synthy stuff. Where it really starts to get interesting is when you start looking at these harmonic. But you can see as I go through the different oscillator types, these three functions change. All right, Jeff, thanks for stopping by. We'll catch you later. Have a good night. Let's see. So you get a lot of different sounds without even getting into filtering or anything like that, and have a lot of fun. And then, of course, there's two of these oscillators. And it's got a nice, decent virtual analog. One thing you will notice, you are limited to 6 voices with this. But depending on what you're doing, that may or may not be a big deal at all. This one's an interesting one. I love wave shapers, so there's all kinds of neat things with that. we back that off a little bit. We can mix this with a different oscillator type, like, you know, oh, let's say, so the second oscillator too is not always just an oscillator. Sometimes it can be a filter or some other special effect kind of sound. It follows the first oscillator. I will go ahead and leave it as an oscillator. And let's see, we've got the wave shaper on that one. You notice there's some different oscillator types in here. Let's get dangerous, do the 2-op FM. Let's see if I can find that on the... Oh, they haven't given me much to play with on the... haven't given me much to play with on knobs. One thing that I think is better on the hardware than on the software is the modulation mapping. It's got, on the hardware, you've got mod mapping. Hang on a sec. That is very similar to what you'd have on the MicroFreak. You've got this hardware grid, wrong hand, this hardware grid here. That you can control what's routed to what using the knob here. And that's really handy and really fast to be able to do mod mapping. It's not as convenient in the software version. To the fact that I don't even, half the time I can't even find it in the software version. Oh, here it is, down here, macro and matrix. So the layout is pretty similar once you're into it. So I can say I want the cycling envelope because I want a second envelope for my filter. I can drive that to the cutoff of the filter and turn it up a bit. And so now you can see it's hitting the filter. If I were to take this guy, I can control the amount of the envelope. Looks like both envelopes are driving that for some reason, but it's not listed down here. Let's see, hit the here. That's because I've got it set to go. Let's see, envelope, retrig. La 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 la. Well, it's not supposed to be going to VCF. But it sure is acting like it is. And you can pile the LFO onto that cutoff frequency too. So I'm going to have it pull backwards on it. And this is kind of sort of how it would work on the hardware. Basically, you use the knob to select the cross point that you want, and then once you've selected it, then you can control the level. And you've got some nice effects. Not a huge number, but some nice ones. Yeah, too much of the LFO going on the filter. Why do I always make accordions? I don't know what that's all about. I keep coming up with things that sound like accordions. So your third effect, you can have a relay or a reverb or any number of other things. Let's see, let's add some mod wheel. Of course, it's already driven all the way. Let's drag the starting cutoff down a lot further. Still too much of that alpha. And Kurt, if you want to get a taste for half of a MiniFreak anyway, you are welcome to play with my MicroFreak. If you want to get a sort of a try of the idea of the synth on for size before you commit to it. The thing that you would run into, one thing that you would run into, keyboard on this is a lot different than what's going to be on the MiniFreak. This keyboard is really cool. It doesn't play anything like a real it doesn't play like a real or regular keyboard. I'm not going to say real because this is a capacitive touch key bed, and it allows for expression that you'll never get out of the 37 key Arturia key bed. So anyway, you're welcome to play with us as long as you want. We'll just have to get to, like we keep threatening, we'll have to get together and I'll hand it off to you for a while. So anyway, I was going to get into Abyss, and we didn't again. This is two shows in a row I've wanted to get into Abyss and haven't made it. So let's do 5 minutes of Abyss, and I got a blank Abyss sitting here. Hey, Rark, good to see you. You're getting us as I was going to try and wind down, but I did want to talk about how Abyss works anyway. It's a really interesting thing. Let me make sure I've got it set right. Yeah, I do. it's got an interesting mindset to it. So this is the default patch that comes out. And Abyss is really, really good for pads and textures. And some really unique, like spacey or kind of sounds. So they don't really have a init patch per se. They will init all the sliders, and so the gist here is that you're going to build kind of a wavetable through here based on tones that you're going to find down here. And so what I do when I'm looking for that, I'm going to use the trackpad just to move through here. If you hit your right mouse button, or hit your mouse button, I'm sorry, as you move around, you can kind of find things that you like. And then you right click on it, and if you can get a hold of it, get to the mouse. The trackpad does weird things. There we go, got a hold of that. You can drag that here. And so now this is the first part of our wavetable. So if I play this from the keyboard, our starting point's way out, position's way out here. So if I move it back to here, there's that sound that we found. And so basically we built a wavetable by finding things that we like. And I'm just going to grab some stuff at random and stick it at various points in the wavetable. Let's go over here. So now as we move across the wavetable, we get all this going. And we can vary the volumes on these. If you click on the dot, let's see. Let's see, and then grab the level. I think that's getting this level. Oh, I'm sorry, no, not there. Put that back where it was. The level for the dot is this guy here. So we can turn that down. Kind of even things out across the board if you want. If we move the position to here. So that one's still a little hot compared to the other. We'll bring this guy down. And there's other parameters that you can adjust for each point in the wavetable as well. That one we might want to come up. And we might want to come up an octave on that one. And then slide on out to here. I'm going to bring that one up an octave as well. Maybe. Oops, I don't have it selected. Shoot, there we go. Let's bring this one down an octave. So now we can basically assign, if we highlight something, like say position, we can now assign a modulator to it. Hey George, good to see you. So let's have this envelope control our position in the wavetable. And let's start at 0. that's an ugly noise. But we can change the rate. So once you're into this point, it's basically a subtractive synth. So we've got with some FM, and we can vary our cutoff frequency. Make it resonant. And we could put an LFO on that. This was a little fast, so let's change the rate. So like I say, this is fantastic for all kinds of, all kinds of weird effects and textures, and I can grab a sample and hold, and I can stick that. Let's stick a sample and hold on, or see what this does. Put it on the position along with the envelope. It drives it right past the end of the thing, so we'll come back a little bit. Maybe take it downward. So you can see as I hit a note, if you look down in here, you can see where I'm hitting the notes, and you can see that sample and hold, as I hit different notes, is sort of modulating the position and applying that to the start position for the envelope. Let's turn that up a little bit. Almost, Leslie, is, yeah, but it's definitely, it makes some really unique noises. And then, of course, it's got basically the effects section from Love. The Love effect engine is built in, so we don't even have effects on this thing yet. And so this section is basically various kinds of shimmers. And it's got a whole bunch of different kinds of shimmers. Yeah, kind of there's a weird mix of an organ and a Selena, exactly. And typical of shimmers, it's really easy for this to get out of hand. Put a little delay on there. We've got a whole slew of different kinds of delays. And for fun, I'm going to bring the envelope down, because this is also, I think, the amp envelope. So let's do this. Let's take that off there and put that on here instead. So we'll have a separate envelope for position and for amplitude. And it's an ambient sound. You got to have a lot of reverb. And this will respond to aftertouch too, polyphonic aftertouch. I don't have it mapped anywhere at the moment, but and let's see, what can we do? Let's put mod wheel to dirt. And I'm going to put the aftertouch where I often put it on the filter. Alright, so we have dipped our toes in the shallow end of the pool with Abyss. Just barely touching the surface, or breaking the surface anyway. Probably should have mentioned early on that none of the stuff that I show on the channel is sponsored, except by me and anybody who might like to buy me a coffee or anything like that, or visit my Bandcamp and buy some of my music or something like that. That's the only sponsorship that I have. I just do this because I do this mostly because it's fun. I love playing with this stuff. So I think that's going to do me for the night. Ran a little longer than I anticipated. So what else is new? Thank everyone for coming. Appreciate you all hanging out with me this evening. And let me lay down a bed of this stuff. As soon as I get record going here. It is a fun time, Paul. I will see you on Sunday for more fun times. Okay, we'll turn that into a loop. I am too, Danny. I missed it last week. I really wanted to do the show last week, and I was a sloppy mess. That's all I could say. Okay, that's a loop. And let's see, what do I want to play over that? I don't want us to get. I want us to get together, Danny. We are going to do the Op 6 show, but I don't want to do it till we're both to a point where we're not going to make each other sick. I especially don't want to do anything that's going to make sure I'm over my stuff for sure. Because as you know, the studio is small. All right, I'm going to play some music. Thanks again, everyone, for coming. Appreciate it. And we will catch you again in a week, I think. Yeah, week's time. See you then. Thanks. Whoops, wrong button. Don't hit that button. Hit that button. There we go.